All right, what's going on, guys? Okay, today is April 27th, 3 p.m. here in Chicago. Sorry, running a little bit late, and sorry for everyone with the head fake. I tried to set up a live stream, and I think that's where people are getting a little bit confused here. Not that you guys are getting confused. I'm getting confused too. I thought I had it set up so that there would be a scheduled stream, but then when I tried to like turn it on, it wouldn't show up like in my feed here. So like I'm not sure what happened. So I did delete that one and then I created this new one. Hopefully that didn't create too much of a problem for everybody. Sorry about that, everybody. Stevie's here, Stevie 76. Yo, what's going on? Martha's here. She's third. Awesome. Bradley Bookman says howdy, folks. Inez Dunbar is coming in from Scotland. That's cool. How are you? Hope things are going well for you. Martha says, there's no problem. Thank you, Martha. You're very forgiving. I appreciate that. Guido's here from Milan. Carlston's loving the artwork, Kofuzi. Yeah, I've been working really hard. Working on my flowers and my abstracts and my princess drawing. So I'm doing well. Miguel Alcorta is coming from Milwaukee, so just up north a little bit. And Daniel P says hi from the dark, mysterious London. Ooh, awesome. My mom's here, coming in from New Jersey, so good to see you as well, Mom. I hope you're doing well. AH1822 is coming in from Brazil. Um, so today, kind of to mix up the format just a little bit, I was thinking about kind of like what we're doing here and how we're like hanging out. And I thought that it kind of feels like a radio call-in show a little bit. So I was thinking like, what do radio call-in shows feel like? And so I feel like there's like generally like a topic, something that people talk about, but then you can come in and contribute to that conversation or derail it and go a completely different direction as well. So that's kind of what I thought I'd try to do today. And that's what I was trying to do with like the scheduled live stream and like I made a thumbnail for it and everything. And today, what I wanted to go over was five non-pro Strava accounts that are interesting follows. No, this is not a Ben Parks hat. This is a hat I got as a gift when I was down in Austin. Someone that came to the Kofuzi Run Club down there gave it to me as a gift. It's a Cieli, is that how you say it? Hat. I actually really like it, but I think it's very similar to the new kinds of Ben Parks hats that are coming out. I think it's pretty similar. Um, so, well, but someone is releasing fireworks and the dog isn't pleased. I can imagine that. Um, I will start out with my five interesting Strava follows for you guys. Just kind of go through that and see what you guys think. Because I know everyone here is probably on Strava at some level, and I know I am. And I think that what I love about Strava is that it's a place where all runners are at, and a lot of like bicyclists and triathletes are there because you can track all those activities. Like even my brothers-in-law are there because they're big bicyclists. Oh, Martha's not on Strava. That's surprising. Um, but I think what's interesting about it is that some celebrities. Now, if you're like a giant celebrity or if you're a political figure, you're not on Strava because then like it may inadvertently give away location information. But I feel like people that are famous but not like hugely famous are still like on Strava. I mean, there's pros that are on Strava too, but I think that like there's some like interesting nuggets that you could find. And here's like my five people that I think are interesting on Strava. So I wanted to lay those out for you. The first person that I'll lay out for you, and if you guys have some, put them in the comments below too. I got my laptop out so I can look at some of those as we're talking here, and we can go over some interesting Strava personalities that are out there. Um, the first one that I'll talk about is Malcolm Gladwell. He is an author. He's Canadian. Not that that's relevant, but I always mention it whenever I talk about him. Um, and he is an avid runner himself. And the first time I realized that, like, I saw in some sort of interview that they talked about the fact that he likes to run, and he was wearing a pair of Pegasus at the time during this interview. And so, like, someone was commenting like on his choice of footwear for this like very fancy interview. And he's like, yeah, well, these are the running shoes that I bought. I didn't want to pack multiple shoes for this trip. And so Malcolm Gladwell is on Strava. And I assume that all these people are those people. Um, I mean, I've kind of looked into it a little bit. It seems like it's these people. And so Malcolm Gladwell is on Strava. And yeah, he's a fascinating author. He's beautiful at making his own podcasts and great at so great at storytelling. And yeah, like he hates golf courses, and like the more I think about golf over the years, like the more I dislike it as a sport. Um, but like so he's on there, and I remember like the first time I saw that interview, I was like, I wonder if he's on Strava. So I like looked it up on Strava, and believe it or not, he's in there. And I think in the beginning he didn't realize that like his account was public, that you could set it to private. So I followed him, and then at one point, like he was up in I think upstate New York or wherever he's at now, and he was like someone had commented on one of his activities, and it was someone he knew like in real life, and he's like, "Oh yeah, great. Yeah, we should definitely get together. Here's my phone number," and he put his actual phone number like in the Strava like reply comment, and I didn't like want to call it or bug him on it, but I was just like, "Wow, Malcolm Gladwell doesn't know how like Strava works." This would have been like 4 or 5 years ago, I think. Um, but yeah, it's on. He has been gone for like a year or so. I think I don't know if he was hurt or he just wasn't posting, but he's been back on recently. So he's out there. He's running. It's really just it's like interesting to see like celebrities or like super intelligent people. They're just like us. Like they get out there, they run. So I think that's awesome. Um, the next person I'll talk about. Oh, by the way, in this top five list, Casey Neistat's not in this list because he hasn't posted to Strava in like several months. But anyway, so he's not on this list, but he would be an interesting. He had been an interesting Strava follow. The next person I'll talk about is Matt Fitzgerald, the author of 80/20 training. He's on there and he trains like a beast. He is working hard. It's super impressive to see him on there. He's someone that I only just realized was on Strava like a couple of weeks ago. Um, and his training has been intense. He's been training recently like over 14 hours a week. It's just been insane. And so it's crazy to see his training. But right now, his avatar is like his new book that's out, which I didn't even know he had a new book out. So definitely something that I'm going to have to pick up. But he's an interesting author to follow. The next person, number three, is uh, Darren Finn. So the author of Running with the Kenyans and Way of the Runner, where basically he did the same thing two times, just in like two very different cultures, once with runners in Kenya and once with runners in Japan. And he basically was an embedded journalist. He ran with Kenyans and then he ran on an Ekiden team in Japan. Not like serially, like back to back, but like he did one, and then like after he wrote the book, after a couple of years, then he did the second trip. Um, but he's started his own podcast recently. His first interview was of a snooker player, and it was a two-part interview. Um, I don't even know what snooker is, to be honest with you. But anyway, he's a really fascinating guy, and having listened to his podcast, it really made me wish that like, why aren't his audiobooks narrated by him himself? I thought that was like a real missed opportunity. But he just hit a 5K PB recently, running around in Strava, and so go congratulate him on that. But he's on Strava as well. And he's fast. He's a really fast guy. Number four is probably someone that I don't know that you guys will know who it is, but he's my favorite on this list, even more than Malcolm Gladwell, is Neve. Yeah, DD saying snooker is a billiards game. I'm aware that it's like the other billiards game, the one without pockets, right? I just I don't I've never met a person in my life, in real life, that has like, oh, snooker, I love that game. Like I don't know anyone that's even played it. That it's like maybe like it's probably because it's not an American thing. But the number four on the list is going to be Neve Schulman, which I don't know if you know who that is, but there's a show on MTV called Catfish, and it is my absolute favorite show. It is my guiltiest of guilty pleasures. And so if you guys have no idea what it is, Catfish is the practice of like setting up a fake profile online and like engaging in relationships with other people, fake relationships with other people, usually for the purpose of like scamming them out of money or exacting some sort of emotional retribution or revenge on that person. And he had this thing happen to him. He got catfished, and then he turned it into a documentary slash movie, and then that turned into an MTV show, which is now in its like ninth season or whatever. But I've noticed from watching this show two things. While I've been watching this show and fascinating with it, Oh, snooker does have pockets? I didn't know. What's the game without pockets? It's just like a billiard table and there's no pockets at all. I don't know what that is. So one time I was watching an episode of Catfish, and I noticed he was sitting down and like had his one leg crossed over the other, like sitting in a chair. And I saw he had a Pegasus on, and I'm like, oh, he's got Pegasus on. I'm like, most people don't wear that as like just a casual shoe. You might wear it as a casual shoe if you also run in it, but you probably wouldn't pick that as just your casual shoe. Maybe the Peg 37 this year, but not like the 35 or the 34 that he had on. And so I was like, he runs? And then like that same week, he ran, I think the LA marathon with Casey Neistat. Like he and Casey Neistat are friends, I guess. They know each other from somewhere in New York. And um, and so I saw him run a marathon with Casey Neistat. So I was like, oh, okay, who is this guy? And that made me like, he's like, oh, he's actually a runner. And I've been following. I only followed him on Strava recently, but I've known for a long time that he's a runner, and I think he's a very fast runner as well. I think he's faster than I am. Not that I'm like a barometer of fast or not, but he's a pretty fast guy. But like I just am still like enamored with that show, even though I'm like a solid 15 years outside of the MTV demographic. I still love the show, and I just love watching it. And I think it's fascinating that he's on Strava. Um, the fifth person that I'll talk about is a podcaster, Matt Chittim, the Rambling Runner himself. It's I like to follow him on Strava as well. He's been doing lots of podcasts. He does the Rambling Running podcast and the Road to the Olympic Trials podcast, and he's become a major powerhouse in the space. And so it's just cool to be able to see people like that as regular people and see what their mileage is and see what their workouts are like. It's just like a nice way to get like kind of like a creepy stalkery kind of like view into like what people are doing. I try not to look at like the locations and stuff because then I feel like then you're getting creepy. But if you're just like looking at the workouts, how's he doing? What's his weekly mileage like? I mean, he's been hurt. He's had a hurt leg for a little while, and so like he's coming back, so it's good to see that. So those are my like five non-pro but interesting Strava follows that I really enjoy. And I think I would say for my bonus, I'll go to a pro for my Strava follow. And oh, Lance Armstrong is running on Strava. That's cool. Stevie76 says that's interesting. Um, but I'd say for my bonus, I'll go with a pro, and I'll go with Jim Wamsley because I think everyone's probably following Jim Wamsley already on Strava. But I'll point it out there just because like he'll just he'll drop like a 30-mile like run with like significant amount of elevation, and he'll just be like Saturday medium. Like that's like the name of the entire like run. And so it's like he went to the effort of changing the name from like afternoon run, but like just amazing like the kind of miles that he was doing. Um so those are the five plus a bonus for you guys in terms of some Strava accounts that I think are super interesting to follow. I'm going to start combing through some of the comments here. I feel like the snooker comment derailed the entire comment section because I feel like you guys have been talking about snooker the entire time ever since I mentioned it. Um, um, Cody Davis says he's on Strava, but he's a complete noob as to what it does completely. Cody, what I like to use Strava for is, it's the collector. It's the place where all my run data goes. And so whether I'm using my phone, whether I'm using a certain kind of watch, whatever I'm using, everything can push. Pretty much like the one thing that everything can push to is Strava. And so like that is like kind of like the universal place. It's kind of like the device agnostic place. And because it's device agnostic, everyone's there. And because everyone's there, everyone goes to there, and then all the devices push to there. And so it's like it's got like kind of like that tipping point of participation. So like everyone that you know is probably in there in terms of Strava runners. So that's why I like it. But you can keep track, and you can even look at other people's, depending on like what their privacy settings are. You can see like what they're running, what their mile splits are, what their heart rates were. So lots of interesting stuff. So like one person that I will look at frequently, it's Seth SJD's Strava, just to see when he says like easy run. I always like to look at his heart rate, and his heart rate for his easy runs, he'll be running like 7-minute 30-second miles and for like an hour and a half, and his heart rate will barely crack 115. And I'm just like, wow, I get that my heart rate like will hit 115 just washing the dishes. So it's like that's just amazing. Um, Bradley Bookman says the mustache is evolving. Yes, it's taken on a life of its own. I need I I I gotta shave it. I don't know how much longer I can last with it because every time I close my mouth, it touches my mouth, so it's really weird. It's either that or I need to get like a beard mustache trimmer or something. So, um, Dave E says, "Hello, I'm Dave, a longtime viewer, first time commenter. Awesome, welcome to the comments. Good to see you here. I think it's more fun when you participate, but I can totally understand everyone just hanging out. It's fun. I've been enjoying both participating, watching what you guys are saying back and forth in the comments, but also participating in the conversations here. Yeah, Carl Stone says, if it's not on Strava, it didn't happen. That's for sure. I mean, that's like definitely saying that people have. So it's like, you can't say you had like a great 20 miler if you can't prove that you have it on Strava. So, so that's what's going on. Um, let's see. Gaki CGKDD said, or yeah, Gaki says, watching Kofuzi has become my lunch ritual now. Awesome. 1 p.m. in LA. Awesome. That's cool. Cool. I'm glad. Like a lot of people are like enjoying it at different times depending on where they are. I think a lot of people, and yesterday we had our like foam roll session because I think a lot of people, both in the morning session and the afternoon, have been like foam rolling or stretching while this is going on. So I think that's really, really cool. And I enjoy that because it's like reinforces the idea where it's kind of like this is just like a run. That's why I call it Kofuzi Run Club. It's like we all just went for a run and we came back and we're hanging out, stretching out whatever we need to do before we all kind of head off on our own ways and go about the rest of our days. But it's like there's a lot of nice bonding that happens in that time, and so like that's kind of what I'm hoping to reconnect in these spaces. Miguel Cortez says Malcolm Gladwell, awesome. Just finished reading Talking to Strangers. Yeah, I haven't read that one yet. Um, is that one like audio book? No, it's a book, right? It's not just an audiobook. Okay. Um, Luis Becerra says he's registered on Strava last year, but just started using it this year, like the segments for friendly competition. Yeah, I think like a lot of people are segment hunting right now because there's no races, and so people are just dying for things to race and compete in. And so I definitely think that the segments are fun. But like, um, I think on the Polar Wash, and that's something that I want to figure out. I think I have to be a Strava like what Summit member, but I think on the Polar Watch you can make it so that way, like when you're near a segment, it'll tell you, so that you can go and if you want to do some segment sniping, and go and try to do that. Although Chicago's a big city and there's a lot of fast runners here, so like I don't think I could win one. And if I did, it would only be for like a day. Then someone else would probably grab it. Um, Jen from Law says, "Is it terrible that you're not on not on Strava?" No, I don't think so. You don't have to be there, but I find it fun. I don't do nearly as much with it as I should. I kind of just use it to like post my workouts, but like I'm getting really great kind of interaction with a lot of people there. So I always feel guilty that I will generally spend more time on Twitter than Strava, but I feel like that's like misaligned kind of priorities in terms of like when you think about like when I think about it in terms of like building community and like from like a social media perspective. But like sometimes where Twitter's just fun because I usually most of my Twitter activity is just responding to things with no text, just GIF or GIF if you want to pronounce it that way. Um, let's see. Miguel Alcorta says new season of Revisionist History coming this summer. That's awesome. Martha says watch Casey Neistat's Hot Ones after you turned us on to the show. Yeah, that was a pretty funny one. I wasn't surprised that he wasn't going to be able to take the heat all that well. um, let's see. Ryan Abel says Carol Baskin has a Strava. I'm gonna have to look. I don't know. I'm afraid I don't know who Carol Baskin is. So let me look that up real quick. Um, Sorry, it's a little bit of a delay here. While we're doing that, I'll keep going on the comments. Davey says he's been following Matt Fitzgerald's 80-20 plans. I really like it. I think my body responds well to it. And so, yeah. I thought his book though, like I thought the book had like more anecdotes than it really needed. I felt like, he was in the anecdotes and like the way that like he was trying to be like, oh yeah, if you extrapolate from the workouts that they had, I felt like he was really trying hard to encapsulate and make it look like everyone, like every elite ever, who's been successful is using 80/20, which I don't think he needed to do that. And so I felt like he had enough examples already and like the information was compelling enough. I felt like he kind of reached a little bit too far to like make his point. But other than that, I thought it was really fascinating. Um, and I've been using it and I felt like my body responded well to it. All right, so let's see Carol Baskin. All right. Yeah, Snooker says it's a billiards game. Um, oh, Training T says he's pretty sure that his third book is Adarnam Thin's third book is narrated by him. I'll have to pick that up then. I haven't picked because that's like Rise of the Ultra, like becoming an ultra runner. Is that the one? I think it is his third book. Um, yeah, I feel like if I read that book or listen to that book, I'm going to be compelled to go run an ultra, and I don't kind of want to do that yet. So I've been holding off on that one until I'm ready to like start. You know what I mean? I kind of want to use that as motivation to when I'm ready for that transition, not transition, but like for that like different training like block. Um, Ed says snooker. Might check out Dennis Taylor. He's a legend. All right, we'll see. Um, I gotta figure out what snooker is. I might maybe I'll just look up a YouTube um, video. Let's see. Uh, let's see. Carol Baskin. I don't know. I don't know who that must be someone that's famous somewhere else that's not here. Sorry, I'm afraid I don't know who Carol Baskin is. Um, let's see. Carl Stone. Snooker has six pockets. Okay. Jody Run says she loves that game or he loves that game. There are pockets and the table is larger than a pool table. Okay. I'm gonna have to try and find a place to play it. Like once this is all over, that's another thing that I'm gonna have to try is to play snooker. um, yeah, Stevie76 says Neve runs with Casey Neistat. Yeah, I think they hang out for sure. I mean, I think they knew each other before, like before Casey Neistat. I mean, I don't know if he knew each other before Casey Neistat like made his like HBO documentary, but like or series. But I think before Casey got big as a vlogger and before Neve made his documentary, I think. Um, Jay-Z Prying says the best catfish episode of all time is when that dude pulls up in the parking lot slow clapping. Isn't that like every other episode though? Like doesn't it happen all the time? I'm trying to think of what my favorite episode is. I can't think of which one is my favorite. No one of them really stand out. But like there's the one that they went to Alaska. The one where they went to Alaska, where like went to like a salmon cannery and stuff like that. That was just a lot of like jumping through hoops. That one sticks out to me, stands out in my mind. But I'm not sure if I have a favorite catfish episode. Um, let's see. John Harris asks, is FKT just KOM? As far as I know, KOM is like King of the Mountain. Is that what it stands for? Right? It's like a bicycling term, right? It's kind of like a fastest known time. Like a Strava segment, like they call it KOMs, I think, but it's like, the segments will be like, for example, like on the lakefront, it'll be like Fullerton Beach to Castaways, and that's like about like not quite a little bit more than half a mile, I think. No, it's about a mile, I think, and so it's like if you happen to run that time quickly, then like it keeps track of all that. And so they don't call it a fastest known time because I think fastest known time is a term that's reserved more for like perhaps multi-day trail runs, things like that, like running like segments of like the Appalachian Trail, things like that. Um, but yeah, it's kind of like that's the idea of like a specific route, sometimes an arbitrary but specific route, and then like they just have data from so many people that run over it that they know who's like what like the fastest times are. Kurt Steve says he goes, LOL the segments. There was a guy on Let's Run complaining that Strava should freeze all the segments until the quarantine is over because he was upset some pros were segment hunting. I think I've seen like a lot of complaints like that. I think that there's been a lot of people sniping on Twitter, and I don't go on Let's Run.com because I feel like it's a toxic place. Um, but like I feel like there's a lot of people that are like complaining about other people's running because everyone's like a little bit grumpy in a way too. I'm definitely guilty of being like a little bit grumpy and jealous of like some other people's running, depending on like where they are and what they have available to them. And so one of the other things that I think is really funny is the people complaining about other people's PBs. like saying like it's not a PB if there was a pause in the middle of your 5K. Like, I mean, technically, I think you're right, but like, it's also a PB. It's a personal best. Like, it literally, by definition, doesn't take anything away from you. It's only to that person, and that person knows what they did or didn't do. You know what I mean? And but like people are really mad about it. I think that's funny. Like I personally won't call it a PB unless like there's a chip time to it. Unless it's an official time, I won't call it a PB. I don't really even call like if I had like a really good half marathon or like a 10-mile split within like a half marathon, I won't count that as like a 10-mile PB, like because it's not the race. I think I equate it to like when I was a pole vaulter and a high jumper in high school and in college for a little bit. I equate it to like what you can do in practice versus what you've done in competition, right? So like as a pole vaulter in high school, I only could hit 12.6, and then both in practice and in competition, 12 feet 6 inches. And then in college, for the indoor season, I could hit 13, but not in competition. It wasn't until like the last meet of the year in the winter conference meet that I was able to get 13 feet. Or was it 13.6? One of the two. But anyway, so that's how I equate it. There's something that you're capable of, and then there's something that you officially did. It's kind of like saying like, a basketball player could hit a 3-point shot. Um, they can hit many 3-point shots, but the ones that count are the ones that are in games. So like, I don't know. Like if someone does like an at-home like 3-point contest, like we don't say like, yeah, it was okay, and like treat it the same as like the All-Star Weekend's 3-point contest. Anyway, that's just me ranting a little bit. Um, Miguel Cortez says, any tips on getting music on a run without bringing your phone? Yeah, the Apple Watch works. You have to be subscribed to Apple Music and have a cellular plan, so it ends up being a pretty expensive way of doing it. But you can get rid of your phone, and I find it like, you end up like I think that like the Apple Watch could, if it wanted to, get good enough that you have an Apple Watch and like an iPad or MacBook and no phone. Like I think like it's getting close to that because then if you pair a pair of AirPods with your Apple Watch, then you can like get calls, you use Siri to make call. So it could get really good. But like the other ways to do it that's a little bit cheaper than that is like Garmin has Spotify integration. I don't know that I think you have to be a Spotify premium member, so there's still a subscription involved. And then there's like syncing, so you have to like download music to the device. You can't stream it, but you can have like podcasts and and music on your watch, so you don't have to bring your phone around. On the Apple Watch, you can do audiobooks, and I think you can download podcasts without cellular, and you don't have to have streaming service for that. Gumby Chronicle says, lots of great local runners in the Bay Area. A bunch of FKTs are by Ian Sharman or Magda Boulay. I'll have to check those two people out. I also feel like in the Bay Area, that's where a lot of people are doing like the Strava art, which seems like something that I would really love, but I'm like so not interested in. I love seeing other people's Strava art, but for me, I'm not a huge fan. I don't want to try it. Kiefer Vacation said, "Oh man, he said GIF. That's a peanut butter, not a not a GIF, not a GIF." Okay, all right. I've always said GIF. I'm like, well, the first time I heard GIF was like 2005 or something like that. I don't know. So, um, if you join Strava, can you download your previous run data at all? I I think you can. I think there's a way to like extract all your data down from Strava. I'm not sure. I'm not. It's not something that I've looked at. Um, Kurt Steve says, I think you just have to favorite a segment for it to show up in your watch as you approach it. You might be right, Kurt. I'm going to look into that a little bit. We'll do some Strava. We'll do some segment hunting. We'll see how I stack up against the other cooped up runners in the Lakeview neighborhood of Chicago and see how it goes. But I know, for example, that there's like some like sub elites and American development athletes that live in the area. I see them on the lakefront path all the time. Like a lot of the uh, Windrunners, the women's team, they're here. A lot of them live in this area. A lot of Windy Second City elite runners live in this area too, and I see them all the time. Um, I think she's a Olympian for I think I want to say Lebanon. Marathoner for Lebanon lives in the area. Is it Lebanon? I think it is. She lives in the area, and I see her on the lakefront path as well. Um, and so like, there's a lot of fast people around here. So I don't know what I can win. I'll have to find like a really weird, awkward, out of the way, like up like an industrial park, that kind of thing. Maybe I can find one. Let's see. Uh, Carol Baskin was the one who supposedly fed her husband to the tiger in Tiger King, I think. Oh, okay. That lady's she's on Strava. That's amazing. That's so funny. Uh, um, Alvin Italian says, currently on Zwift, he's bummed about the Kofuzi Bike Club. Yeah, people have had some good ideas. One person said to go put it in my mailbox, which is several stories down below, and there's like a locked mailbox that I can use. So that's an idea. I just ordered a like an RFID blocking bag, things that people put their key, like car key fobs in. And so I bought some of those, and hopefully that'll work. And maybe if I put that inside like the steel bathtub that we have, all the way back there in the other bathroom, maybe that'll work. Um, Gumby Chronicle says there are lots of nice ultras in the Bay Area, and you can combine that with a vacation. I mean, someday I can. I can't now, but someday I can, and I look forward to that. Is there any conspiracy theories you kind of believe or think could be possible? No, I'm not really into conspiracy theories. I'm trying to think of some that might be out there. I don't know. I don't think so. Um, like I don't believe in like the Illuminati or like the New World Order, like that kind of thing. I don't really buy that. I don't think that I find it hard to believe that the government can be at the same time like the most like manipulative, overpowering organization in the world, and also at the same time be in charge of things like the Department of Motor Vehicles. Like the two things don't it can't exist at the same time. Unless it's a very intentional kind of form of incompetency, which I suppose if you're a very sophisticated government organization that has ulterior motives, maybe, I guess. But I don't buy it. Uh, I think if there's any sort of thing going like that going on, it's with like the super rich, like with Bezos and uh, uh, like Sergey Brin or something like that. But I don't really believe in any conspiracy theories. Um, Let's see. Kurt Siege says it would be funny if Fitzgerald did that. I remember back in the day, Jeff Galloway was saying the same thing with his run walk thing. Lots of folks called PS, then he doubled down. You're saying like if Fitzgerald like paused during like his runs and like his PBs and just to say that he had a really good time. That's pretty fun. That would be pretty funny if that's what happened. Um, Brandonian 3030 says, how did the Solomon predicts compare to the Hoka Cliftons? Um, I would say it's been a long time since I ran the Sound Predict RA. It's been probably 2 years since I ran those. But they felt roomy in the toe box and also short at the same. So they were wide but short. It's like a squarish toe box, which my understanding is that pretty common with Solomon shoes. And it was comfortable in a but like the foam felt dead even like right out of the box a little bit, so it kind of reminded me of the time I ran into Clifton 1 re-release where I was like everyone was talking about how great the shoe was going to be, and then I ran in it and I was like this just seems like a big shoe. So that's kind of how I feel about both of those. uh Compared to the Clifton 6, I think that those are just completely different. The Clifton 6 I just really like. Um, it's like wearing, it's like the comfort and like confidence of wearing like an orthotic boot. Like if you were just coming off like an ankle injury and you had those boots on, it would make you feel confident that you could get around and walk around all day. Um, but you can run in it. So not to say that it is a boot, but if you feel protected in it because there's like a lot going on the shoe. And it just, I felt snug in there, but it was still a very nimble shoe. It can handle lots of different kinds of terrain and paces. It's a good shoe. Um, Let's see what else we got here. Uh, Still a lot more comments about snooker. Snooker is like cricket. You can't just explain it in words. That's another game that I don't understand it. I don't understand how it can sometimes take days. And I don't understand why it can go in 360 degrees. It just makes no sense. When I was in England years ago with my buddy Greg that I went and ran the tunnel marathon with, me and my wife were there with him and his wife. And We liked watching darts on TV while we were in London because that looked amazing. And then we tried watching a game of cricket, and I was just like, and Greg was a catcher. He played baseball all through college and played semi-pro for a couple of years after college. And I was like, Greg's like, he's like, these pads look kind of familiar. I kind of understand what's going on, but he's like, but I have no idea what's going on. So like, neither of us could make heads or tails of it. Um, let's see. Gumby Chronicle says, I can still run on Mount Diablo here in Clayton with no restrictions, although the parking has been closed off. Okay, cool. Um, Davey says, you got to follow Strava Wankers on Twitter. It's a good garbage entertainment. I will go check that out. I think that's going to be pretty funny. I'll go look for it. Kurt C says he goes on Let's Run and agrees with me there. It's like one of the places to go for track and cross country news. There used to be some real serious athletes on there that would comment. Jack Daniels on there a lot. Oh, that's interesting. That's cool. And he also had great conversation with some other coaches as well in the past, but some real jerks on a lot. Yeah, I feel like my like very brief experiences on there, it's like a real broy place. Like everyone's there like, can you even run like a 2 minute 800? You know, I'm like, what? Or whatever a fast competitive 800-meter time is these days. Um, Luis Pacero says some people put running when they're clearly on a bike. I've seen segments of a mile in like 40 seconds. I will say though, in defense of that is I think that sometimes it's from people using Strava on their phones. And if you have Strava on your phone and you're in like an urban area or a place where GPS is real goofy, um, I've had it where Strava has told me I had two consecutive sub 3 minute miles in a row. And this would have been like back when I was running probably at best like a 6:30 mile, a 6:40 mile, you know. And so I'm like, I tweeted about it too at the time. I'm like, I certainly cannot run one sub 3 minute miles, nor do I think any human could. I certainly cannot run two in a row. But that's what Strava gave me. And so I know that people were probably mad at me because I got a whole bunch of like badges for that one. So I think that's what it is. I want to say that I want to give people the benefit of the doubt and just say that they don't know any better and they're just someone new to running. They have Strava on their phone and that's what they're using to record, and that's it. So I'm hopefully it's not anything more malicious than that with some of those. Um, let's see what else. Chris Greco says, opinion on barefoot running, minimalist shoes like Nike Free. I was lucky, or I guess maybe not lucky, but like I had a break in running from like 2010. I did like a couch to marathon, and then that soured me on running long distances for the entire minimalist movement pretty much. And so I missed out on that train. And I know a lot of people that are kind of like my age and have been lifelong runners still love like the minimalist shoes and love like the zero drop or like low stack height shoes. I don't. Um, I haven't run in that many like minimalist shoes though. I do have a pair of Ultras in the bedroom waiting to get taken out on a test run. I'm waiting till like my legs feel a little bit more like normal. They're feeling a little bit off kilter a little bit lately, so I'm waiting until they feel a little bit normal so I can give it a more fair like appraisal. But I don't really think that we necessarily need minimalist shoes because if we did, then people would be running in five fingers, right? Like I don't know why they were called five fingers other than like an affinity for the alliteration, but like it's a terrible name for him. But like we clearly don't. And like now we're in like the era of like thick is fast rather than like minimalist is fast. So like maybe the pendulum will swing back, but I don't think so. Like I think that the running world would probably be better off if like 8 millimeters for the heel drop became like the de facto a heel drop rather than 10 millimeters. But like ultimately 8 versus 10 isn't that huge a deal. And I think that like as much as especially now, like with all the running companies trying to capture like I'm new to the running market or I go to the gym, I might do some group fitness, and once in a while, maybe two or three times a week I run to capture more of those runners, which I think numbers wise are going to be much more than like I run 5 or 6 days a week runners. We'll continue to see not maximalist shoes, but like thicker stack heights, 10 millimeter drops, shoes like that. Um, Oh, Kirsty says, Kofuzi, what I meant was Galloway said that all athletes follow his run walk theory by saying that they slowed down to get water, so that counted as a walk break. Okay, all right. Um, Mateo says, you ever think about doing a triathlon? I didn't. I mean, it's come up a couple of times lately, especially once I got like an exercise bike in here, because I was worried that like we weren't going to be allowed to go outside for a moment here in Chicago, which I guess could still happen. But I bought an exercise bike, and once people saw me on that, they were like, "All right, running a lot, bicycling. Now you just got to get into the pool." Um, and before I'd be like, "No, I'm not going to do that. It takes too long." But now I'm like, I'm not going to say no to anything. I'm going to try a little bit of everything once like we can get back outside again. Um, Tim Gross says he spends a lot of his day flagging bike rides that hit his CRs. At the moment, looks like lots of very good runners are after them properly. All right, well that's good. At least like they're going at it like honestly. So that's cool. But do you really you like you're flagging? Oh, I see. So you're flagging like people on bikes are going after your running records, or like bikes are going after your biking records? Which one is it? Um, oh, okay. He says like, yeah, they mostly set it to run by mistake. I see. Yeah, yeah. I didn't know that there was like a flagging mechanism, but I suppose that's something that's going to be necessary. Um, Jorge Primo Fitness says, "What's going on with the Kofuzi merch?" Yeah, I think it's showing up now in the tray. I think it's called. So like under all the videos, you should be able to see like the merch in the store. So that's been selling pretty well. I'm pretty excited about it. Can't wait to see like it's starting to show up in your guys' mailboxes, so you guys can wear it and enjoy it. Hope you guys do. Um, and there was talk this morning in the morning podcast about like some actual running gear, because that stuff's not like, because Teespring and Printful, those print on demand services don't do like running like a 5-inch running short. They don't do like a run like a race singlet. And so there's some talk about doing that. So I'm thinking that I'm going to try and figure out someone I can work with, and maybe we'll figure out, maybe not like kind of like what Ben Barrows did, where he ordered a whole bunch, but he asked people in a non-obligatory way, but like just so I get an idea of like how many of which sizes to order, like which like and figure that out, and then I'll buy like a whole bunch, and then as the orders come in, I'll probably use Etsy to handle like the payments and the taxes, and then I'll just ship them out to you guys. So we'll do that in the summer, I think, in a couple months once it gets hot. And I mean, you won't need a race singlet until it's time to race again anyway. And I think that's going to be a while. But I know you'll want it when it's hot out. So I'm thinking like non-elite, so we can all be non-elites while we race. So that's what I'm thinking. Tim Gross said he had 5 fingers in on in the shot, but he can only get 4 in. That's so funny. Kurt usually really enjoy barefoot cool downs. Had a pair of the 5 fingers Picolas, would use them for winter cool downs. Interesting. Interesting. It's kind of like be like an ice bath for your feet, I guess. Um, Joe Jopeth Mangalabnan says, hello from the Philippines. It's 4:45 a.m. there, and he's about to run 2x4s. Awesome. Enough to warm up for the day. Awesome. Have a good run. Let's see. Let me fast forward down here. That's interesting from JH over there. I'm not sure what's going on with that. That's cool though. Um, let's see. Martha says, Kofuzi, regarding the merch, I ordered the first time ever from Teespring. You're buff. Awesome. You didn't get a confirmation email. Did something go awry? I'm not sure. I might email them to double check. Um, I don't know that I can. I'll have to go look to see how. I think I can see how closely it is. I will check on that to see if I can see anything. Um, and I'll message you later on Instagram. Um, Running with Pete says, "What's up, Kofuzi? What's a good half marathon race in February or March? We live in Phoenix, where it is nice to race in the winter, but looking for a destination race, assuming we are back to normal." Okay, because I was saying like in January, there's a half marathon in Phoenix that a lot of people ran this year. But if you're looking for February or March, a place to travel to, Austin is around that time. I think that there's a half marathon as well as a marathon, I think, on that day. So that could be a nice one. It's a beautiful running town, a very active city, and the weather's pretty nice. I don't know if it's as warm as Phoenix in February or March, but it's good running weather. Um, I'm trying to think. There are some like half marathons in Florida, I think. Um, the Atlanta Marathon, I think, is around that time too. I don't know if there's a half though, that goes with that. I know that there's a marathon and a 5K. I don't know if there's a half. Those are some that come to mind. I'm trying to think if the LA Marathon is in April, I think. Or no, there was supposed to be a half. Nike was supposed to do a half marathon in LA in April. That got canceled this year. I don't know if that's going to be a yearly thing or if that'll happen next year or what. So those are some that come to mind. Maybe someone else can, if you have a half marathon in a warm place around that time, maybe you guys can chime in as well. The Gumby Chronicle asks, Mike, have you tried any Tracksmith kit? It's great, although expensive stuff. I haven't tried it, um, but it's one of the brands that I would look at because people seem to really love it, and their singlets do look. I like that they seem like modern fabrics and materials, but like old school styling. It's a combination that I like. All right. I think that I'm gonna have to leave it right there for you guys today. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in today. I had a lot of fun talking about snooker and Tiger King and Instagram follows and all that stuff. It was just a lot of fun. Thanks, everyone, for participating. Um, uh, there's going to be more live streams, 6 a.m. On Instagram. I'm over there in the mornings and then every day, 3 p.m. I don't know if it's going to continue to be every day, but so for now, every day, 3 p.m. here on YouTube. Uh, the audio from this is now available on podcast. So I take the audio, I have an external mic over here, and I record it and I put that as a podcast. So if you guys can't check in live but still want to listen into the conversation, like if you're running or I guess if you're driving somewhere, that's something that you could do. It's available on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and I think in a lot of other places as well. I think like Google Podcasts as well. So lots of different ways if you want to follow along on a daily basis or if you miss a day. And I appreciate all you guys for. I feel like I'm like putting out way too much Kofuzi. I feel like there's no way people want to hear from me anymore. But you guys keep showing up, and I love talking to you guys, and I'm glad that you guys are having a great time too. So thank you very much for that. It makes me feel very humble and proud that there's this great community together. So if you've already gone for your run, I hope you had a good one. If you haven't gone yet, I hope you stay safe out there, and I will see you guys in